Hello, my name is Nader Rad from Management Plaza, and I'm going to tell you about the way PRINCE2 organization works when we have more than one company involved in the project. This is a common question, both from just everyone in LinkedIn. Sometimes they get in touch with me and ask this question, and also from some of the participants of our PRINCE2 Foundation e-learning course. That's because this part is not included in the foundation level. It's considered advanced, but people are just curious to know. So I'm going to tell you really quickly. It's simple, don't worry. I'm going to assume that you already know how PRINCE2 roles work and what we expect from each role. What you see here is the 4 levels we have defined in the PRINCE2 manual. And for starters, let's talk about the kind of project that is done inside one company. You have, for example, a piece of software you use to earn money. And you also have an IT department that's responsible for adding new features to the same software via different projects. In that case, probably a department such as sales works like the customer, inside customer, and IT works like inside supplier. So in that case, what do you think, who do you think the executive should be? The executive is someone responsible for the benefits of the project, the ultimate responsible person for the benefits. And who's dealing with the benefits? Sales department or IT? Obviously the sales department. So we expect them to have someone as the project executive and direct the project to the right path. What about the team managers? Very simple. All the teams are from the IT, and just simply the team managers are some people from the IT department who lead different teams. In case you have more than team, maybe you have only one team. What about the senior suppliers? They work like, not exactly, but almost like representatives from the supplier. And our supplier is the IT department, so we expect to have the senior suppliers come from the IT. In certain cases, you can have people from the business side, from the customer side, who understand the suppliers very well, instead of real supplier representatives. But this one, the one you see here, is normal. What about the project manager? That's when people usually get into some trouble. Should the project manager be from sales department or IT department? From the customer side or supplier side? From business-oriented people or from specialists? In this situation, when we have internal projects, PRINCE2 recommends the project manager to come from the customer side, as you see here. That's because project management is considered something non-technical, both in PRINCE2 and the PMBOK guide. We don't want to see project managers as highly experienced professionals in technical aspects. In most companies, that's what we do. When someone is really expert, for example, in development, architecture, process, the person becomes a project manager. But that's not the best way. Project management is supposed to be a profession. However, still in this case, it is okay if you want to have the project manager coming from the IT department. In normal situations, in most companies, they define 2 different project managers, one from the business side and one from IT. In here, if you really want to use the PRINCE2 organization system, the first person who comes from the business side will be called a project manager, and the second person who's coming from the IT department will be called a team manager. team managers are really similar to project managers in a very specific sense. I will tell you about that in the second part of this video when we're going to talk about situations in which we have multiple companies involved in the project. All right, the next one, the senior user. From which part? Well, that depends who's going to be the user. The senior user is supposed to be a representative from the users or someone who really understands the end users. In this case, it's probably coming from the business side, but it depends. And that's also the same with the corporate or program management system. So that was it for the simple version. Now let's say we have this kind of combination. There's a bank, let's say ABC Bank. I don't know if it exists for real. And ABC Bank has a project. It's a large project. They have two suppliers, the Cool Co, that's us, and Anoico or something else. We don't care much about them in this example. And each of us, the two main suppliers, have three subcontractors, suppliers of our own, called 123 Tech, 234 Tech, 345 Tech, 456 Tech, and so on. Okay? What happens here? How should we organize the project here? This is the PRINCE2 organization, and we can start from the top. What's the corporate or program management? Here you can see that we cannot have one organization when we have such a combination here. In here we have, how many companies we have? 1, 2, 3, and 6, 9 different companies. Therefore, we have 9 different perspectives to the same project. And that's very important. For each perspective, we have a separate organization. So let's just start with ABC Bank. Who's going to be the corporate or program management in ABC Bank's perspective? Obviously, the bank itself. I'm separating everything here based on color. Okay? You see in the diagram on the lower left, the ABC Bank is the same color as these people. What about the executive? Again, very simple. The executive is the ultimate person responsible for the benefits. So from the bank's perspective, who should be the ultimate person? Obviously someone from the bank. What about the senior users? They usually come from the bank or they are represented by the bank. Not necessarily from them, but they are really close to them. That's why I showed it with a shade of the same color. What about team managers? We have two different suppliers here for the bank's perspective. So we will have two different team managers here. Two different teams, two different team managers. And they are represented with two senior suppliers in the project board. And again, here, if you want, as ABC Bank, you can replace them with people from your own company, some people who really understand the suppliers, if you don't want external people to be in your project board. But preferably, we like to have real representatives from them. And finally, what about the project manager? That's simpler here. Do you expect the project manager to come from ABC Bank or from one of the suppliers? And that makes it really difficult. We have more than one supplier. So it's obvious it should be one of the people from the ABC Bank. And that person will be responsible to coordinate all the activities, especially between the two different suppliers here. So this is the organization, the PRINCE2 organization from the ABC Bank's perspective. Now we can move on to Cool Co's perspective. That's us. We are the supplier for ABC Bank. And let's go on. What happens to the corporate or program management? That's us. This is our perspective, so we are the corporate. That's obvious. What about the executive? This is our point of view. This is our perspective to the project. So in here, when we are thinking about the benefits, that's the benefits for us. And therefore, someone from our company should be the executive. What about team managers? They are our suppliers. We have 3 different suppliers, and therefore we will have 3 different team managers here. And what about the project manager? Again, we expect them to come from our company to coordinate the activities of different suppliers we have here. And the senior suppliers will be normally representatives from our suppliers, just very simple. And here things become really interesting. What about the senior user? What do you think? The senior user is someone who understands the requirements of the end users. You know, the end users for our perspective. Bring that information and understanding to the project. In our case here, the senior user is the ABC Bank, our customer. So that was it. And we can go one more level deeper. What about one of our suppliers, such as 123 Tech? In 123 Tech, again, the corporate is them, and the executive obviously comes from their own company. And we have a project manager from their company. And assuming that they are only using internal teams, they are not outsourcing anything, then they will have 1 or more internal teams, and each of them will have 1 team manager. All of them come from their company. And those teams will be represented in the project board as senior suppliers. So the only thing that remains is the senior user. And who will be the senior user? You probably guessed right. That will be us, the Coolco. We are their customer. Now, there are lots of things we can talk about here. For example, if the 123 Tech organization is not going to be really large, then maybe they have only 1 team. And in that case, maybe they want to merge the project manager role with the team manager role. That's totally okay. So this is it, everything. And I'm going to only mention some other thing. In each perspective, we have different management products. For example, business case or project plan. ABC Bank prepares their own business case, something that explains the justification of that project for ABC Bank. And we, as Coolco, have our own business case, something that explains the justification of the project for us, which can be different from ABC Bank's justification. They want something from the system, and we want, for example, to earn money, to invoice the customer. That's our justification. Or in addition to that, maybe we also want to learn more things by doing the project, entering a new market, gaining new opportunities in the future. But these may not be the justification for the customer. So we will have different business cases. And again, a separate business case for 123 Tech's organization, for their perspective. And that's also the same for other management products, such as the project plan. The ABC Bank has the biggest project plan that contains everything related to the project. But when it comes to Coolco, Our project plan will be different. It doesn't have the same scope as the ABC Bank because we are only responsible for parts of the project. If you remember, we had two main suppliers here. We were only one of the two. Obviously, the project plans should be compatible. They should be aligned, but still they don't have the same scope. And that's the same for 1, 2, 3 Tech. They have a separate project plan with a different scope because we have 3 different suppliers for Coolco. The combination of their project plans will be something very similar to our project plan. And each of them should be compatible. So there's a lot we can talk about the way we should align different management products when we have more than one company involved in the project. But that's going to be really long. And for now, I just wanted to tell you how it works, how the PRINCE2 organization works when we have more than one company. And the key answer is that we should recognize different perspectives to the same project and understand how it works. What we had here is called the customer-supplier environment. PRINCE2 organization is based on a customer-supplier environment, and you just saw how. For example, in the Coolco's organization, we have people coming from our company, from our customer, and even from our supplier to the same organization. Okay, that was it. I hope you've enjoyed it and it was helpful for you. Yeah, that's it. Take care. Bye.